So the first part of this project is you're going to have to design your own logo. In order to do that, let's figure out what a logo is and what makes a logo good. A logo is essentially shorthand. It's a word. These are all different logos for corporations that are shorthand for something else. If you look at this one, you instantly see Nike. There's no N, I, K, or E listed here, but we know that this symbol here means Nike. This one does not spell out the word apple, yet we know instantly that this means apple. The other ones have a letter or several letters inside of it that spell out what the name of it is. For instance, McDonald's starts with an M. You can see the M here, but they designed the M in a certain way that we know that this is McDonald's. Same with Disney over here. The Disney has a certain way to it and a certain way that it's designed that we instantly know that it's Disney. Even though we don't really know what Disney, even though it doesn't say Disney, we know Disney instantly by the design of the D and the way that the D is. So think about it this way. If you're going to make your name and say your name starts with an A, think of an interesting way to make the A. This one over here is the GE symbol. These two over here, Coca-Cola and GE, I put these as examples of logos that are really good, but I would try and stay away from if I were you. This is a very complicated logo. So is this. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying doing a logo like that is going to be really hard. When you're doing this project, I would think of something that's super simple. Think of something like an Apple, or Nike, or McDonald's. And even something a little bit more difficult would be something like the D from Disney. Try and stay away from writing out entire words or having a really complex design around the word. Also, this doesn't mean you have to do a word at all. If you want to, you can do what I did and make a paintbrush. You can make an apple. You can make something that means something else about you. If you're interested in hockey, make a hockey stick. If you're interested in basketball, find a way to represent basketball. In some way, shape, or form, I am looking for you to sketch out a logo that somehow represents you, but is still simple enough that you're going to be able to repeat it over and over and not have a really tough time cutting it out. Alright guys, now that we've talked about logos, let's talk about the actual project. This is the rubric, this is what I'm going to be grading you on. It might help you out that if you can in another window, open up the rubric. It's attached in this folder, so it will be labeled as the rubric for this project. You're not being graded on a whole lot. There is only 3 things: your logo, your colors, and how well you painted it. Those are the big things that you're being graded on. So let's go over this real quick. The logo. The logo is legible and easily seen. The logo somehow represents the artist, that's you, and is not an already existing logo. I don't want to see you redoing the Apple logo or redoing the Nike logo. I want a logo that somehow represents you. Who are you? Find a way to do it. Just a little bit of heads up, make it simple. Don't make it too detailed. The more detailed you make this, the harder it's going to be. 2, the colors. The colors are properly mixed on the page. Complementary colors, or more than 2 colors at a time, are not mixed, meaning I don't want you to put 3 colors on top of each other, or you mixed complementary colors, meaning something like purple and yellow. We'll get to that later when we go to labeling the colors. And lastly is the painting. The painting is neat, with smooth edges, the paper does not show through, and the insides are filled similarly. Let's look at a few examples of the project so that you guys can see what we're looking for. This one, the person did a logo, they did BJ, which is their initials. What are some of the things they did right? Well, I can read their logo. Their logo looks good. I would have liked them to maybe do something a little bit more interesting with the letters, but it's fine. So here we've got the B and the J. Well, the first thing that they did wrong is they colored each one of these two things different. This is one logo. This is one logo. This is one logo. So what I'm talking about is this entire thing should have been red. This entire one should have been maybe yellow. This entire one should, well, not green because it would have been complementary. So maybe this entire one should have been yellow. What I'm saying is they messed up by making each one of these a different color. Your entire logo, when you're making it, each one of them should be an entire color. The second thing that they did wrong is they didn't exactly overlap well. If you look right here, they got where the yellow and the red overlaps makes orange, but over here, they didn't really mix them at all over here, and here you just see the green, you don't really see a blue and a green. So that's a little bit of a problem. Third thing they did wrong is the painting wasn't exactly neat. It's better than most, but you can see some scraggly edges here, you can see some scraggly edges over here, and you can see some definite scraggly edges down over here. So overall, I would give this person probably about a B minus. It's not a great project, but they certainly understood what the project was asking them to do in places. Let's look at this one. This one, they started out with the problem is they made their logo a little bit too small. They had to do a lot of them in order to make it look interesting on the page. So which is why I say you should make it a little bit bigger, just not too enormous. If you look at this one, they completely did not make any of the colors overlap. Where's the green and the blue overlapping here? Where's the yellow and the orange overlapping here? They're not doing it at all. Also, if you look, they painted this in about 2 seconds. They did not take their time with it. I can tell. So, make sure that when you're painting this, you make it look really nice. This one right here is a perfect project. If you want an A+, this is what you're looking for. The edges are really nice and clean. I can't see the gap between the black here and the red here. There's no paper I'm looking at. You can see that they overlap non-complementary colors. So it's the yellow and blue would work well, red and blue. There's not 3 on top of each other. This is a perfect project. If you're looking to get an A+ on it, this is the one you should be looking at. When sketching out your logo, remember to keep it simple and keep it personal. Have it something that somehow represents you. So, for example, like I said before, say you really like hockey. Well, you can find a way to make this. You can do it several ways. You can have it make the H, or if you really want to, you could maybe think of just making a hockey stick. Any which way, you want to make sure that you start to keep it simple. For example, this hockey stick right here works, but if I'm really going to want to make it look like an OK logo, I might want to do a little bit more design elements with the outside of it and not so much stuff with the inside. So maybe put like the little knob at the top here, have it come down. Maybe even have a little bit of an arch to it. So even though this logo right here doesn't have as much on the inside, it still looks a little bit more interesting on the outside. Think about it this way. If you were going to shade in your entire logo, what would it look like? Think about this L or this hockey stick over here, the L shape. Which one of these two are a little bit more visually appealing? My argument would be this one. If you look, it's got the little, just kind of arches to it. It's got this little knob up at the top that just looks a little bit more interesting. Whereas in this is just a simple L. So when you're coming up with the logo, think of something simple, but is still interesting enough for you to do. Again, spelling out an entire word, an entire number, something like that is going to be really difficult. Keep it simple, but at the same time, try and make it interesting.